Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, people. Hello and welcome to the National League. I'm sorry, my voice is kind of gone. Listen, we're here to talk about the game. Saka is apparently not fit for Liverpool. Timber's out, Calafiori's out, and Saliba's out. Not great. It's absolutely horrific. It's ridiculous. I don't know if they can win the game. Nobens is here to talk about Matheus Nunes and the resurrection of his career at Manchester City. And we have Dan with the full setup. Tom had an emergency, so he can't be here. I love the setup, Dan. Amazing. Amazing. All the trophies that he won as a kid, and you're muted. Wow.
I was just saying it's a zoomed out perspective today.
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. But listen, people, and also we'll talk about the Chelsea midfield. With Lavia now reportedly fully fit. He's not complaining of anything. He's going to be fit. Injuries are behind him now. Hit that like button, people, if you just joined us. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And listen, there's only one place to start, which is we're going to start with Manchester City and the revival of Matheus Nunes and the solutions that Pep are offering. Has Pep found the solution for that midfield thing with Kovacic playing there, Matheus Nunes? Tell us, Nobins, because a lot of people are saying without Rodri, you weren't going to win games, but you're smashing, again, teams in the Champions League. That was an easy game for you, Sparta Prague.
A bigger Sparta Prague, man. Tricky opponents and not an easy team. I was going to say place to go, but it was at the Etihad, wasn't it?
It's the Etihad, Nobins, so...
Yes, so obviously with Rodri being out, we all know by now the issues with City's midfield. There's a lack of physicality, there's a lack of recovery pace, there's a lack of second ball winners, there's a lack of dual winners. You know, if you've got like a midfield of, Kovacic, Bernardo, Gundogan, whatever. Rodri offered a lot of that, also aerial dual prowess as well. And we saw against Fulham, against Newcastle, and even against Sparta Prague, in fairness, the lack of that recovery pace in particular. We know that City are vulnerable on the counter-attack. This isn't new information, but when you've got very slow midfielders in there, it just compounds the issue. And in terms of like in-house solutions, in terms of like midfielders, the only one who's got those physical attributes is Nunes. Kovacic doesn't, Gundogan doesn't, Bernardo Silva does not either, and they're the players who are going to be playing in a more potentially deeper position rather than offensive midfield. So yeah, Nunes is, as I say, the only realistic solution in that respect, outside of signing a player or outside of, progressing a defender to the centre. So it's vital that he's having good games right now, because if we do enter the market in Jan, that's all well and good, but it's October. We've got a fair few months to go before then. So again, it was vital that he did play well when called upon, and I thought it was brilliant against Sparta Prague. He's got to start now against Southampton, of course, to get more experience. I'd like to see him start against Spurs in the League Cup as well, because I can just see City sacking off that game, basically, because Pep doesn't really care about the competition anymore. I think he won it a fair few times in a row. It's like, I'm not interested anymore. But yeah, it's vital that Nunes performs well.
He said that he's definitely winning that game against Spurs away, right?
Is that what Nunes or Pep said that?
No, I think you're just still going to win against Spurs away from home.
Oh, well, that'd be lovely if we do. But, I expect Spurs to go full strength and us to not do that. So, but hey, we'll see what we see, won't we? Of course, we did win there last season, in fairness. All I would say about the game against Prague, again, fantastic performance. He played out at left wing, which is nice. And he sort of had to, because there was no Grealish, there was no Doku. So he played at left wing, and that's fine. But it didn't really help with our midfield transitional weakness. There was still a number of times where Prague were able to bypass us far too easily, and and Gundogan was ran past too easily as well. So that's my only minor gripe. But of course, he's going to track back. I mentioned the pace, and I just like to see him trialed in a midfield position against Southampton, because there's definitely something in a midfield, especially if De Bruyne is out, there's definitely something in a midfield of Gundogan, Kovacic, Nunes, and Foden. There's definitely something in that. I would like to see that at least once, just to see if it can work.
People, I don't know, be respectful in the chat. I don't know why. Where is this coming from? But anyway. Okay. So that was it. Anyway, listen. The thing about it is that for Manchester City, when I'm looking at Manchester City, there is no better time than playing Wolves away, Southampton, Sparta Prague, to actually fix the midfield problem. The fixture really favored you. I just want to say, I was listening to the podcast yesterday, The Guardian, and they were talking about that even City with problems defensively, you still are favorites against like 17 out of the teams you play. And that is the difference between you and everyone else. It doesn't matter who you play, they're going to defend deep, they're going to do this defending deep, and you're going to have the chance to win the game. I'm not sure if you're going to go in January and get somebody. You might not need someone in January to win this league. You're still winning your games. Even the Wolves game, okay, we agree or disagree. I think it was a goal. A lot of people complained about it. I thought it was a goal. What do you had, like 20 corners or 18 corners? You were going to score from one of them. You had 82 touches inside the 18. That is why when I'm looking at City, yes, you're wide open defensively. You only had one clean sheet in the league, which is the Chelsea game, right?
Mad.
But it's crazy. But you still win the games, even falling with the kings of comeback, as I call Man City now, the kings of comeback, 100%.
No, yeah, definitely.
When are you gonna? I don't think you're gonna drop lots of points, because you have this Bournemouth away, Sporting Lisbon away, which is I think he's still gonna win the game. Brighton away, and then Spurs. I think you win these 3 games. I don't know what is stopping you from finishing this part of the league. This first 19 games was like every single point. You're not playing anyone away, actually. Even Liverpool coming to Anfield. No, you're going to Anfield.
No, yeah. We do have a tricky run coming up, in fairness. We do play at Anfield. I know United are a little bit poo, but it's still a Manchester derby, which is still tricky. There are some genuinely tricky
Stop
fixtures.
the jokes. Stop the jokes.
There are some
not.
there are some genuinely tricky fixtures coming up for City after this relatively easy spell. You know, where we, as I say, we played Sparta Prague, then we play Southampton, then we play a League Cup game. It does get a little bit trickier thereafter. And yes, City will always be favourites in the game unless there's some massive mitigating circumstances. Even with injuries, City will normally be favourites. I mean, even when we go down to like 10 men, like we're still expected to win. That is obviously how good City are. I still would like us to go into the market in Jan. I still think that's a necessity. I like it as a short-term solution for the next couple of months, but I just don't see it as a viable thing throughout the entirety of the season. I think that if we don't enter the market, we will drop too many points, and it will be either an Arsenal or Liverpool a title win. And I can't remember what else you said in terms of your question.
You definitely not. This notion that City fans are going to drop so many points and Liverpool.
Oh, sorry. That was the other thing I was going to say. Sorry. Just going back to what you're saying about your players coming back, whatnot. And now Foden is hopefully fully fit now and fully match sharp. Hopefully over all those personal issues. Because again, I know it's only Sparta Prague, but the games he has started the season, he's looked very good. And we obviously know how instrumental he was last season. So especially with De Bruyne out, that's also going to be crucial. And so hopefully he's hitting form, coming back into the season at a very good time.
But he's not going to play in the midfield at all for them.
Played there yesterday. He played against Sparta Prague.
Kind of like started on the. I think he started from the left and then came in the midfield. Or
no,
Matheus Nunes was to the left, and
Nunes was on the left and Savio was on the right.
So he's going to be that guy in the midfield then. When Kevin De Bruyne is Kevin De Bruyne back or on?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think we actually know for sure when De Bruyne is coming back. I think the injury is a bit more severe than was first thought, because I think the idea was he should be back by now, but he's not. So that's why it is crucial for Foden to be starting. He needs to get picked first of all, because as I say, when he does start, it's quite good.
Yeah. Anybody want to add about the City thing at all? Gundogan and
I just it's one of those that sometimes there is an element of just luck involved, in the sense that City's fixtures, whilst they've had to deal with this kind of mini injury problem, is obviously more ideal than, for example, Arsenal's run of fixtures whilst we've had to deal with this major injury problem. So yeah, they've kind of got lucky, but equally, if Nunes is the solution long term, I think that is, I don't know. I feel like you can get at City if Nunes is the long term solution. He looked all right against Wolves and against Sparta Prague, but there will be much tougher games than those two. So,
the problem is that every time I watch City, even the fall behind, I have the feeling, okay, they're winning the game. It's always a surprise if they don't win the game. Like 1-0 down against Wolves, you knew that City is gonna come back, gonna be 1-1, and then they're gonna. I thought it might be a draw, but at the end, the goal that they scored at the end was like, it's too much pressure invited by Wolves, and at the end they just cracked. And that's the problem with the Premier League, to be honest. It's too many teams are too much respect for City, to be honest. Too much respect for City, and teams need to do something different.
Yeah,
at the end, you lose the game.
And attack us, please, and then we'll.
Doesn't mean that you come out and attack us, but you cannot put 82 touches in the penalty area. I think it's crazy. Actually, it's a crazy stat. Who does this?
Well, I mean, City's style of play is to make it so it's the opposition's almost forced into making a decision, and if they do want to set up defensively, then they are pinned within their own box. So it's sort of like it comes with the territory of playing like that. Yeah.
Well, listen, at the end, it is what it is. You have to beat City. You have to beat City to the league. You're not going to beat anyone else. You're not going to beat Chelsea to the league. You have to beat Pep Guardiola that is going to get 95 points this season or something like this. It is what it is. There's nothing to say other than that City are too good, to be honest, for any team to get to lose a lot of points. Already Arsenal. I was listening yesterday about someone saying Arsenal need 90 points at least. So you're only allowed to lose 24 points. Arsenal already lost 7. Yes, 2 of them against City, which is I argue they could have won. But again, too many points dropped already. City might not drop that many points. I believe
Well,
that City will at
we
least.
don't know because we never had a season without
It doesn't look like it.
Rodri.
It doesn't look like it. That's the thing. It doesn't look like it.
But it did look like it a month ago.
It looks like it now, Nobbins.
But it didn't, a month or so ago.
It looks like
with the
it
Newcastle
now. You
game.
can see the go. Bro, you were behind against Brentford, Fulham, Arsenal, Wolves. Who else? You played. I think there's another game.
Ipswich.
5 games. Ipswich. 5 games out of the 8. Not a lot of teams will recover and win these games. You didn't win against Arsenal, yes, but you won against the rest.
But I would say if we keep doing that, that's not sustainable. That would be my
Yeah,
thoughts.
I was gonna say we did all agree when Liverpool were kind of doing a similar thing last season that that's not sustainable to keep. And this is where it's kind of like it's a bit of results based analysis because they could very easily have drawn that game to Wolves if they didn't get, which obviously is a big if, but like if they'd drawn that game, which they were a second away from doing, I think we'd be having quite a different conversation about City potentially struggling. So, yeah, I do think it's difficult to keep coming back. I mean, City are the most capable team of doing that, but
Yes. 5 games being behind out of 8 and winning 5 games. You won 9. You won 4 of them.
It's
hard
impressive,
to
but
play
you
against
can't do
City.
it across the entirety of the season.
I'm glad I don't play in the same league with Manchester City, but fine, with Pep Guardiola. But that's fine. I'm glad, bro. Seriously.
You
My
did
team
well when
play
you
against-
came to the Etihad, though. Didn't
Yep.
concede.
You know the
I mean,
problem
very
is
fortunate not to, but-
Arsenal did well. Arsenal last season won a game and drew a game. It's not about the team that goes against you doing good at the Etihad or playing well. It's about the other teams, the other 17 teams that aren't up to the level to get points away from you for the one that is contending against you to win the league. It is so hard when you're watching the teams. I'm not gonna say give the same energy against you like they give against Arsenal or Liverpool, but not have this. Like I don't believe that the teams have the same belief against City that they have the same against Arsenal or Liverpool to win the game. And it's down to the way you play. It's not down to anything else. The way you play, the way you pin them back, as you said.
Yeah, well, for the entirety of the week leading up to a game, a team will know exactly how they are going to play. So I guess that that is sort of like an advantage in a way because it's not like there's any tricks going on. You know full well that you're going to have barely any possession against City. But I guess in a way it's almost like a sort of defeatist mentality, you could argue, and then maybe that does translate to, I mean, that was always the thing with Fergie's United, wasn't it? Like where they looked at the team in the tunnel and they were like, yeah, we've already won the game. So some games are won in the tunnel. So maybe it's like a similar sort of mindset, maybe.
It's the way you play, to be honest. It's the way you play, to be honest. But listen, we got to move on from City, guys. And Tom couldn't make it. He had an emergency last minute, so he couldn't make it. So that's why he's not here. What are we talking about next? Chelsea smashing Panathinaikos yesterday. Second team of Chelsea. Why are you laughing?
That's my Greek team as well.
Why are you laughing?
Me?
Yeah.
I just think the Conference League's a bit of a joke, isn't it? Like, it's
You have
just
105
it's actually
million.
not entertaining.
105 million Conference
After about
League
the
players.
first 15 minutes, I was sitting there thinking, I can't wait for this game to end. Because
Did I
Who's
watch
the best
along
team
before?
in it other than Chelsea?
Real
maybe
Sociedad,
Fiorentina.
Roma
Fiorentina
Europa
are
League.
back-to-back finalists, I think. So probably them.
Fiorentina are not
Fiorentina.
that good, but anyway. Conference League is crazy.
That's a Chelsea win then, surely.
Oh, it must.
Easy.
Yes,
like,
if
the
Chelsea
fact that
don't
we've
win
scored
that, it's
another 4
definitely a
goals.
failure, yeah. 100%. If Chelsea don't win this, it's definitely a failure. Lugano,
I think now it
it's a
probably
lake,
is.
not a team. Real Betis, no. Fiorentina, oh, there is nobody there to win. There is no one.
Do people from
Copenhagen,
the Europe? How does it work nowadays? Do
No
do
one
people
drops
from
down.
Europe?
No
Do they all
one.
drop
No
down?
one.
Okay, wow, okay.
No.
Yeah, fairs.
guys, let's get the
easy
likes
Chelsea
up a little bit. Guys, hit that like button. Let's get the likes to 200 likes. We aren't even on 100 likes, guys. So hit that like button. Come on, it's 7 a.m. here. So hit that like button. Support the channel if you're here. Hit that like button, people. Vote in the poll. I want to talk a little bit about Chelsea and their chances of finishing in the top 4. We spoke about it with Dan yesterday. Of a second team. I actually think Chelsea are good, very, very good, because of the second team, not only because of the first team, because of the ability to play a completely changed team in the games midweek. The likes of Shrewsbury Hall and Nkunku, Neto, Mudryk. That's a big advantage. We all criticize the way they run the club. We all criticize the way they bought players. But now you see the reason why. They have a full team that they can sub, they can change. That is what I'm talking about. Like, if Arsenal has this, if City has this, I think it's an advantage for them. Does anybody now agree with the way they run the club in terms of like buying players and having 2 teams and stuff like this? And because I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's a big advantage for you.
I think it would be more of an advantage for City and Arsenal, given that they're playing in the Champions League. And so that second string 11, like, would probably be the team that was playing in the lesser Premier League games, which I think players would probably accept more. I do wonder what happens long term with the group of players that are basically now UEFA Conference League players and nothing else. How easy is it going to be to keep those players happy long term? Now, if
But
Chelsea
they're gonna play Champions League now.
Well, I was about to say, if they get back into the Champions League this season, then that becomes more manageable because they'll be in the same boat where those players can then be playing Premier League football as well. But if they don't, even if they only get back into the Europa League, there are a lot of players there that I just can't imagine would accept being Europa League or Conference League players 2 seasons in a row and not really getting game time elsewhere.
Like who?
And
The team
Nkunku,
that played last night.
Felix.
Mudryk.
But they get some minutes in the league, right?
Barely.
They get some minutes in the league.
And Nkunku's not even had
gets
180
Neto played every
minutes.
game. Neto played every game.
Neto does. But the ones beyond that, like a Mudryk, for example,
This guy cannot complain, Rory. This guy cannot complain.
No, but he will.
He's only good even for Conference League. This guy.
Yeah, it's not about whether
he's found his level, Mo.
You think so? He looks good in the Conference League. I will never judge Mudryk, guys, until he plays in a tough game in the league or something and performs like, yes, yesterday, electric dribbling, he had an assist, he had a goal, you know what I mean? 2 assists and a goal. But at the end, okay, you have to look at him and like, you're doing this against Panathinaikos, which is, it's an easy game. You're way faster than these guys. You should be better than them. Until Mudryk does it in the league, we're not going to see it. Shamelessly, I can do the Chelsea thing like that people do. Oh, he's better than Martinelli. He has more to his game and all the stuff. But he hasn't done it yet in the league, Mudryk. He hasn't done it against top teams. Yes, looked good, but okay.
He looked a little bit more controlled, right? I have to be honest. I think he looked like a player that was understanding that his game doesn't have to revolve completely around how fast he is. You know, at times he was actually slowing himself down and trying to pick out the correct pass, which must be down to Maresca working with him rather than, I think Poch was probably just motivating him. Someone's actually telling him what he's doing.
I get your point.
Yeah. He looked good. He's looked much improved, I would say, over the last sort of 3-4 games. And there's obviously a player there. We can all see it. It's just we haven't obviously for a long time.
The problem is I think he lacks basic football abilities. I think he lacks basic football abilities. Decision making.
You've said this before, but he's in. Yeah, but what we're seeing now is actually. Sometimes I think he's too fast for his own good, and I think by the time he actually arrives at the area of where he needs to make a decision, he's already like taken an extra touch, or he's accelerated.
His feet are faster than his brain, is what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe they are, but he's incredibly talented with both feet. He looks like the sort of player that is willing to learn, and I just hope that might be one of his biggest strengths. It's incredibly difficult now because of his performances in recent years. We've then recruited Sancho and Neto, so his game time is obviously going to be incredibly limited compared to what it was last year.
Yeah, 100%. Watch done. Has already heard the competition. Maresca been given lots of players opportunities to perform.
Yeah, but there's a limit to how much competition you can have before it becomes untenable. Like, okay, so let's say Mudryk starts performing really well to the point where should be getting in, proper minutes in the Prem. Okay, well that now relegates someone else to none of those minutes. Well, that's
isn't that how it works?
Kind of, but I think what Rory's
at
saying
City,
is,
how it works at
hang on,
City.
Mo,
that's not
what
how
you're-
it works at City at all. City have nowhere
Really?
near that number of players.
yeah, I think that's
City
what
get
you've
a couple
got
of
to.
injuries and they're down to academy players.
That's what you've got to get across right here. Is the point is that Chelsea have two 11s of very similar quality. It's not like there's a drop off, and then there's also a bunch of squad players as well. I think if Chelsea are in the Conference League, it's sort of manageable that you can swap these players around. When you get to the Champions League, though, I'm not sure some of these players will be good enough to play in the Champions League. So some of them are going to be getting really, really limited minutes. They're not going to be playing at all. And the likes of, Cucurella, Enzo Fernandez, and Kunku, João Felix, they're going to be limited to what, just Champions League minutes? I'm not sure they'll be happy with that. They want to play in both competitions.
Actually, it's okay. I think you guys are actually contradicting each other, not yourself. Like Dan is saying, these guys are not going to be at the level. So if you're not at the level, you accept your rule and try to get better. But Rory is saying they're going to get better to the point that they're going to demand minutes.
No, I'm saying if they do.
No, they're already going to demand minutes.
Because Don's talking about competition, right? And it's good to have that level of competition. I'm saying that's too much competition, in my opinion. And if you look at top level squads, look, I'm not saying it can't work and won't work, but I'm saying I don't see any other club where you have that level of competition, where you have that many players that are all of a similar ability fighting for the same spots. And like Dan says, if they then get into the Champions League next season, the rotation will not be anywhere near as much as it is. And suddenly you've got players who are good enough, to play at a decent Premier League level that will be getting very few minutes. And then that becomes a problem. And that's
Can I just actually present an argument to you, Rory, and then everyone?
Of course you can. Of course you can.
I don't think actually they are that deep.
They literally have two 11s.
Yeah. Okay. But the level of the 2 11s, so they have 4 center backs, which is you have more. The 4 center backs. They have 4 fullbacks. Liverpool has the same. In the midfield, they're actually light. They have Enzo, Lavia, right? Caicedo and Josbury Hall. And in the 10, I don't think they count. Cassidy is a player that will be moved on.
He played last night.
But I don't think he's counted into the first team. I think this guy's going to be moved on.
I think you're incorrect by saying that, actually, Mo. He definitely is included in the first team. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on the subs bench last night.
I think you have 2 players in every single position on the pitch, right? And I think it's just 22 players.
Chukwuemeka
24 players
falls into that as well.
Yeah.
Is he going to play? Is he counted as a first team player?
He came on last night.
Just as minutes in the conference, pity minutes in the Conference League. I'm not going to count that as someone who's going to be a problem in the future.
But Chukwuemeka moved for 20 million is on a lot of money a week.
Exactly.
He's not gonna be happy.
No, Mo, this is the whole point. So if Chukwuemeka's not going to be involved, which you don't think he is, that's a 20 million odd pound player who's on over 100 grand a week. How are they going to shift him?
They're just going to sell him. They've been selling. A lot of people buy Chelsea players.
They do, but not when they're unproven players that are on high wages already.
I disagree with you guys. I think Chukwuemeka goes for 15, 20 million next season, and even with a profit next season, easy. A lot of teams will pay 25 million for this guy. Lots of people.
Right. Okay.
Just on Chelsea, I think it depends. Sorry, Mo, go on.
No. I was just gonna say, I think Chelsea have proven that these caliber of players, Rory, they are sellable for them. He's not bad, and I think if he's injury free, they're gonna be able to sell him. And having 2 players in every position is not that bad, because at the end you're dealing with a 24-man squad, which is not that deep actually. The problem comes if you have 2
24-man.
You know the problem. I only agree with you guys. I only agree with you. Can I add this point? And then the only point of this is that when you have the players at the same level, you know, Rory, what I'm talking about. Like imagine, like a Julian Alvarez, a star for Argentina. He's not gonna accept his role. But I don't think Chelsea's second team has this caliber of a player.
Oh, no, I think it does.
Complaining.
I think it does, Mo, because Nkunku scored 40 goals in the Bundesliga. He's the club's top scorer at the moment, I think, still after last night. João Felix is obviously putting up good performances. I think they're all of a similar level. I actually think Cole Palmer, Caicedo, Reece James, Lavia are probably the 4 that are on a level above the rest of the squad.
Okay.
I think the others are all at a very similar level. Enzo Fernandez was bought for over 100 million. He's now subject to Europa Conference League as his only minutes and League Cup games with the return of Lavia. This is the poster boy of the new ownership at Chelsea, now being relegated to Conference League minutes. Hopefully next season that's Champions League minutes. And obviously there'll be natural squad rotation and injuries will occur. But ultimately, I don't see Enzo Fernandez being happy with
I agree.
himself being sort of, and don't get me wrong, that's exactly what you need. But when you've got that in every single position, a lot of problems start to come. If Enzo was your only player that had that sort of issue where he felt like he should be starting and he wasn't getting in, okay. But the fact is, you're then going to have João Felix and Kunku, all these players. I just think happiness and squad morale is going to be a problem that Enzo Maresca's gonna have on his table every single day at training.
Nobbins.
I was just going to say that Dan's touching it now, to be fair. I was just going to say that it depends on what assurances have been given to certain players. So if we're to take that midfield example, Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo, realistically, only 2 of those players are going to start at the same time. So it depends what assurances have been made, given, the fact that a lot of money was spent on, Caicedo and Enzo in particular. And if Lavia keeps playing how he does, from their perspective, they might have the mentality of, well, I want to be starting like 30 or so league games a season. Obviously, that's not realistic for all of them. And then maybe the question becomes, as Dan's just alluded to, well, I'm not getting the minutes I want. Or in the case of Alvarez, which you mentioned, he was getting the minutes that would have been far better than what he warranted. But the issue was it wasn't happening in the role or the position that he wanted. And also he noted that it's also about the games that he was playing. So, so just sticking to Enzo for a moment, just because he was the example that was brought up, he might get lots of minutes this season, but from his perspective, as a big money move, etc., he might look at himself and go, well, I want to be starting in the biggest matches, and I want to be starting, at Anfield, and I want to be starting in finals and whatnot. And if he's not, because, Caicedo and Lavia are instead, that's when I think the question is introduced of, is this now an issue, and does this cause issues in the squad?
Let me ask a question then. Don't you guys think that these players, as you said, Nobbins, are being presented with this before they sign the contract?
That's what I mean. It totally
like
depends
Neto,
on what...
I'm going to give one example. Neto or Sancho. Sancho's an obligation to buy. Yeah. I'm sure that Sancho asked, okay, you have Neto. Sancho, of course, sat with Maresca and with the Chelsea hierarchy and said, well, you have Nkunku and you have this and you have that. Are there assurances? And it's either the answer was yes or the answer is no. Do you want to join and compete or you don't want to join?
Yeah,
right. That was definitely presented. The only name that I agree with you all is Enzo Fernandez. Because when Enzo joined, he was the face. As Dan said, he's the poster boy for this project. Definitely Enzo, when he joined, no one asked him, by the way, you're going to be competing with 50,000 players to get your position. Yes. But the rest of them, I see the competition is there.
But look at Liverpool at the weekend, right? João Felix, the fact he didn't come on, look, his face just dropped when he realised he wasn't going to come on, and he looked fuming. Now, don't get me wrong, I have no issue with squad competition. If a player's not performing to the level where they should be starting, then they might need to work harder, or they might need to knock on the manager's door and say, look, what do you want from me? Because I feel like I'm offering everything I can at the moment. And then they have a good chat and they work on it. And that's the type of attitude you like. Unfortunately, not every player will do that, and some get unhappy and they believe that leaving is the best option. And it only takes one poison apple to start having its effect on others. I can't remember the saying, but I just wonder a little bit how long it's sustainable for. But ultimately, it's probably a good problem to have rather than a bad problem. You'd rather have a pool of players to choose from than be in a situation where you've got a bit of an injury crisis, I think.
I just think it's interesting. I think there's probably more than 24 players right now. Then you've got players like Esteval, Kendry Paez coming in. You've got players that you sent out on loan because you couldn't sell them that are going to be coming back. So I do think that it will get interesting. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying there's a question mark over whether or not this model will work, because we don't really see any other big clubs succeeding with that model. For whatever
Would you
reason,
rather beat Chelsea today, Rory, or Arsenal today with the injuries you have?
well, obviously, I'd rather have more players that are available, but I also wouldn't expect us to have this many. Last season, for example, we'd have had a ton of. Even last season, we did have players that effectively wanted to move in the summer because they weren't getting game time, and that was without having as many players. So that completely depends on the number of injuries that you've got. But people in the chat, I said it was an interesting problem. If you want me to sit here and just say Chelsea are amazing and the squad's amazing and the second team and the first team could both win the Champions League, they could play a final against each other. I mean, it's the most amazing project I've ever seen. Does that make you happy? Is that what you want to hear? It's crazy.
I just think it's incredibly interesting to sort of see how it pans out, because you're right. A lot of managers nowadays, they actually prefer to work with a smaller squad and will cut it down to just because they don't want squad morale issues. They don't want to have to deal with that. And I just kind of wonder how it sort of develops with Chelsea. But I don't think we have to sit here and pretend it's a negative. I think it's a positive to have these players. I just think it may become a bit of an endless conveyor belt of players moving on because they're unhappy, and then players coming in and eventually someone else will become unhappy. And I know that's football, and I know lower down the levels that happens all the time. But at the top clubs and the most successful clubs, I feel like having an overall core of players for a certain period of time to sustain challenges over and over and over again is probably a better approach. But look, I'm not the one making decisions.
No, but I see both arguments. The reason why we just seen it at City with Julian Alvarez.
Okay,
we
let me give
literally
you the
just
next one then, Mo. Can I give you the next one? The next one I believe will occur at Chelsea maybe next season after. We're signing Esteval, right? He's coming in. He's like this super Brazilian wonder kid. Some people are saying he's going to come straight into Chelsea's first team.
Yeah.
Whether or not he does, I'm not sure. What happens then to Madueke, a guy who's not really doing much wrong at the moment, but he's going to be shoved out the way potentially for a £50 million wonder kid, where he then sits in a similar boat to Mudryk. We'll then have 6 wingers, 3 for each side. What happens? Like Madueke's not going to be happy. He'll obviously try and move on.
Newcastle.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. So it's just going to be constant removal of players and people just getting unhappy. But that ultimately isn't. It's almost like the recruitment at points is a little bit unnecessary because of constant favoritism to opportunistic purchases.
Can I actually have an argument here? Do you know what the problem? I actually now, and Chelsea fans, you have to hear this. You know why Arsenal have more people complaining, even lower quality players complaining than City? Because even City, in some areas, they have more players and Pep rotates and stuff because City win. If Chelsea don't win the league or the Champions League, players are going to start complaining. If Chelsea win the Champions League or the league, players are going to be all right. I'm part of a winning team. We're going for the future. And the problem is, does anybody guarantee that City will win the Champions League or the league? No one can guarantee that. I see the point where Rory and Dan are coming from, like 100%. Because even with City winning, there are caliber of players. I believe Enzo Fernandez, an Argentinian international that is starting for the Argentinian national team. If the guy is being shafted to the bench and being given minutes at the end of games, I believe he's not going to be happy. He's going to be asked to leave. And he signed a long-term contract. And who's paying that much money? And it's going to be another problem. But I think that's only Enzo. No one else. Nkunku, another one. But Nkunku hasn't been good to complain. That is the thing. And if Julian Alvarez has been good. So he has you know what I mean? Like, he has the face to go and complain. Nkunku hasn't been great for Chelsea. He hasn't been very good. He has been injured. I don't think it's going to be a massive problem. I think the problem is going to be next season. They signed another center back and they signed another winger, and I believe they're going to sign another striker. Now we're going to see the problem.
I think
now we're going to see the problem. I don't think now, to be honest with you, I don't think now there is a problem. Having 22 people at a squad is not.
Do you know why there's not a problem now? Because the Conference League allows you to make 11 changes every game because of the quality difference. But when you get to the Champions League, Maresca will not be able to make 11 changes to keep 22 players happy as a bare minimum. That's when it will sort of start to cause an issue, I believe. I think you'll find probably 5 or 6 players have their minutes drastically limited if we're in the Champions League next season. That may lead to like them wanting to leave, or because they'll just believe that no matter how hard they try, their limits will continuously be limited. And that is ultimately the case of what happens at these top clubs. And I think naturally that might be a good thing for Chelsea, because they'll just be happy to sell these players on and generate profit. And maybe that's part of the business model, that they believe now they can keep a bigger amount of players happy because of the quality difference. Look, it's not a bad problem, but at the end of the day, I just think it's just an unneeded problem if it ever does occur, in my opinion, for a manager. And that's why the majority of managers now work with smaller squads.
Let's get a couple of these super chats. Mo, where is Tom Little? We answered this. Gifted 1 membership. Thank you so much. So if you became a member, you know who to thank. Colin. Denzel is saying Mudryk versus F9 will be legendary. Oh yes, Mudryk versus F9, guys, is a team in the Conference League. Just for the people that don't know, it's a joke that's been going around. I believe Mudryk is going to be given a little bit of time in the league soon. More time in the league on that left side. Because I believe Sancho. Huh? Mudryk.
What about Neto? What about Matheus?
Oh, Neto, he already said that Neto's a right winger. And by the way, I'm telling you, if Madueke then, but if Madueke doesn't get goals and have that patchy things, I believe he's going to start playing Neto there on the right side.
So do you believe that the future looks like Neto and Mudryk?
No, I believe that it's going to be a split in minutes.
Right, okay.
It's not going to be a given time when someone starts. I get your point. It is not going to be a set 11 starting. It's going to depend on your form, your game. But I believe he's got, because with 5 subs, you really can sub your winger every 60 minutes, and then the next game someone else can start. You know what I mean? It's not like 3 subs.
But if you're going for if we're talking about beyond this, if you're going for the league, you're not rotating like that every game when you're going for the league, because it's not beneficial. If you look at whenever City or Liverpool have done well, there are 13 or 14 players that have the vast majority of the minutes. There's then another 2 or 3 subs that will take some minutes, and outside of that, people will get next to no minutes, because they are the best. There is generally a best 11, 12, 13 players, a couple more beyond that are good enough as subs. I've never seen it. I've never seen a club competing at the top where they rotate massively every game to keep multiple players happy.
By the way, can I just address something to the people that are suggesting Neto played right wing? Who did he come on for against Liverpool, and what position did he occupy for the majority of the time he was on the pitch? Just
left,
do your research first. Left.
Which is actually shows that.
Tell me you don't watch Chelsea.
A flexibility. No, yeah. He came, and by the way, me and you actually suggested that he should start at the left for Sancho to play behind Trent, which proven right, because Manet can make the sub at 45 minutes. Oh. Yeah, it's very simple actually. But playing a second team in the cup games helps the squad get better in the league. Are we saying Chelsea won't get injuries? There will be a rotation. You know, all of this conversation will not happen if Chelsea get like a couple of injuries. Like
it's true. It's because right now it's actually a perfect.
Everyone
scenario.
is fit, right? Like
everyone is fit. And last year we had almost the most injuries in the league. So eventually we could be like thinking this is an absolute blessing. But yeah, right now it's this perfect scenario of having to keep all the players happy.
Remember, Chelsea fans especially will remember this. All the complaints about injuries last season, and everyone like talking about Chelsea now. Okay, there's too many players. If they had this team last season, they might have finished in the top 4. Imagine I remember Chelsea had no striker at some point last season because Nkunku and Jackson were both injured at some point.
I don't know if anyone remembers our subs bench, but it was like diabolical at times. And then now, obviously, it's blessed with like French internationals and Argentinian internationals.
I remember here on this, I said that Chelsea has people on the bench that has no pictures on Google. When you Google the player, they don't have pictures on Google. Now it's better. You have 2 players fighting for the left wing, the same for the right wing, Palmer and Felix for the 10, and Nkunku Jackson on top. How is that class too much? I thought we spoke about this, a lot now. But
yeah, I think we've addressed that.
See, the problem is going to be, just to out of the bag, thank you for the spending the money and super chat. The problem is going to be if they are thinking it's too good for me to fight for the position. Julian Alvarez situation. I'm too good to fight for a position at this Man City team. That is going to be the problem. I thought the amount of games in football is an issue if you want to start them perform. Yeah,
I think
the
from a player's
people,
perspective, it's more about I don't want to start every game, but I do want to start the biggest games.
I think Nobin's answer
that's
is very important.
maybe
Yeah.
where
And that,
an
but
issue
Nobbins,
arises.
that becomes the Premier League and the Champions League, right? So, like, you get it at City all the time. There'll be players that start every Premier League game, and then they expect to start the biggest Champions League games as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I hear this point because if I'm an international player, like let's imagine if I'm a Kai Havertz, and Arsenal buy a striker. Let me just put Chelsea, and I'm just gonna, guys, let me think about it from an Arsenal perspective. I'm a Kai Havertz. I'm a German international. I'm the starting forward for the German national team. It's 2025-26. World Cup is coming. Arsenal buy a striker. Arteta favors that striker in every big game. Kai Havertz is looking at him like, no, I can't be the second guy here because I need to be the starting forward in the world. I see what Nobin is saying. Because if you are the one who starts in the cup games, you're the second player. You're not the player that starts in the league. So I see that point. I think it's a valid point, actually, guys. You guys convinced me a little bit. See, I'm willing to change my opinion. Chelsea have over 80 games this season. I'm always like this, but to be like in the beginning, I'm thinking about it from this moment. But when I put Havertz situation in my head, World Cup coming, and Nobin said big games, Moment said big games, and I'm that word, that key word that Nobin said, big games, the games that are everyone is watching. Do you think if the French national team coach is watching Chelsea Panathinaikos yesterday, for someone, if Fofana, for example, is playing this game, imagine Wesley Fofana, the center back, and he's only been playing at a game like in the Conference League, do you think that Deschamps is sending someone to watch Chelsea play F9? Definitely not.
I'd be careful with that because Nkunku obviously got recalled to the French national team and did score off of the back of not playing 2 games in the Premier League in terms of minutes wise. He's played about 100 and probably about 140, 150 minutes this season in the Prem. So yes and no. I think if they're at the level of Chelsea and they've scored as many goals as Nkunku has, then maybe people but they know and are aware of Nkunku obviously because of his prior achievements at like Red Bull and things like that. But I think imagine the Alvarez situation. I genuinely believe next season Chelsea could have that problem times 5 if we qualify for the Champions League. And I think that's the point Rory raised ages ago.
But hold on, isn't the Champions League you can rotate, especially in the 8 games? And if Chelsea qualify next season and for the Champions League in the first 8 games, we see the caliber of teams. Inter rotated 8 players to play young boys. We created abundance chances. Yes, we won one.
Young boys are probably Europa League sort of level quality.
Yeah, but that's the majority of the teams you face now, to be honest.
Yeah, but what Alvarez cited as his exact reason for leaving City, Nobbins, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it the fact that even though he got a lot of minutes, it was the fact that he wasn't in the team to start the biggest games, and he knew if he went
not in the position he wanted as well. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly right. That's what I think might happen.
Let him rot in Atletico Madrid.
I also wonder about the wage bill as well, because I know they've got a lot of players that are on actually low wages at the moment, which is keeping the wage bill down. But I think a lot of them have got heavily in bonus incentivized contracts, which
30%.
So if they do get back into the Champions League and start going, well, that wage
but they get more money, Rory. But that goes hand in hand with getting more money.
They got to play. They got to play to get their bonuses.
True, but then equally as well, if you are then back into the Champions League and you're competing for the title, those players that are the regular first 11 players that are on currently quite low contracts are all going to want to start renegotiating their deals because they'll all be getting massively underpaid compared to City, Arsenal.
I think they're heavily incentivized with performance bonuses, though, Rory. So I hear what you're saying, by the way, and I'm not saying that Arsenal and Manchester City players also don't get performance incentives as well, but I think there is a huge sort of thing for Chelsea players that they are going to receive massive payouts for performance-based bonuses. You know, I think that's why we've seen so many players go for hat-tricks this season already.
Yeah, but yeah.
After the transfer window, Maresca called the group and told them they're gonna have to earn their spot. They're not there because of their names. He'll give them the chance.
Yeah, well, he
I
definitely
thought
comes
this
across
was
as ruthless.
this was publicly announced by Joao Felix, Nkunku, and I think Jadon Sancho, that they actually were interviewed. I'm gonna put you up, Rory. Your camera needs to, so your face is not covered by the subject. I guess Kofi, I think that was addressed. Yes, but also I think the guys are right. I think the guys are right. It all add up to: am I playing in the biggest game with this? Am I playing the big game? Am I good? I'm good. And then if a player looks at themselves, like, I'm good enough. This coach is not picking me. And there is one more thing about Chelsea, to be honest. The money is involved in terms of who plays, who doesn't play. We have to.
Yeah, like the business model, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
And it will show next game. Because if Enzo Fernandez starting again, we have to have a conversation.
I don't believe
Hey.
he will. I'll be really surprised if Enzo Fernandez or Cucurella start in the next game because they played 90 minutes in the Conference League. I'll be shocked if Maresca plays 2 players in a row.
Tubbs is saying, how is this bad for Chelsea? If players play well enough to start, then have to leave. It's profit for Chelsea. Never thought about it this
it's
way.
A fair point. I guess it just comes down to it will be survival of the fittest, right? The players that are seen best for the project and the players that are happy to be there and be good professionals around the training ground, even if they're not getting minutes, will be the players that stay around. Anyone else will just be moved on. If
Chelsea make a profit on Mykhailo Mudryk, I will delete my channel.
No, I think they will, Rory.
Let's
clip that.
No, what the? No.
Clip it.
No.
Clip it.
No.
They're not going to make a profit on Mudryk.
No, are you serious?
He's double down.
Guys,
Rory, I'll buy it off you for a pound.
I'm going to take a bet. I want to.
Pounds on the regular.
Okay, what if Mykhailo Mudryk improves, Rory, over the course of this season? Comes a team or something.
Mudryk Ballon d'Or run 2027 gets that big money move
okay,
to Real Madrid.
Seriously, guys. What if Mudryk really improves and then they sell him for profit?
How much was it? What was his actual transfer fee?
I'm going to actually find out the actual official number.
It's like 80 mil.
No, there's a big difference here.
No, hang on. I think it's 66 million. Then there's obviously performance bonuses that can be paid on top.
So it's a base 66 million, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
No, but if we're talking about profit, then it's got to be profit on everything that they paid.
Yeah, if we're talking about profit, then he may in fact end up hitting the levels to pay the bonuses in the first place. Because
but Rory, if you're talking about pure profit, we could actually be talking about book value. And I'm
not doing the bloody.
Let's do book value.
I went and checked.
Accountancy's coming out.
58 million pounds. I looked at it.
Rory's sweating. He's sweating.
No, well, yeah, because I thought it was about 80 million.
There you go. Right, you said it as well. Someone clip it.
Okay, so that's about right. 58 is roughly about 60.
It's 58 million pounds, actually.
Right, let's start
70 million euros.
Come on.
Go for
the add-ons are probably what? The add-ons are probably worth about 20 million. And I bet I don't know if there's a Ballon d'Or clause, but there might be something.
Can we just establish something? He's not being sold for more than 70 million euros. Doesn't matter how good he performs, he's not.
Yeah. And if he does, I'll ask, if he does, the club that buys him, I'll start a vendetta against them to buy my channel.
I'm signing that.
Mil. I think I'm right. I think I'm right.
I think
you're right,
down.
Bro. He's not going to be sold for more than 35 million euros, guys. 40 million euros.
If he's on a 6-year contract and he was bought for around 60 million, Nobbins, you'll probably correct me on this, but is that not roughly 10 million a year that drops?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What was the question?
Okay, so if he's bought for 60 million,
we're not doing some accountancy bullshit.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Yes, so if 60 million on a 6-year deal, yeah, that's 10 million a year.
10 million a season. Right, so he's been here 2.5 years, so he's down to what, like?
Right, so at the end of the season, he'll have a 30 million.
What is happening here?
Yeah.
What's going on?
So
They're
therefore,
doing-
if
they're
it
All
goes-
we
It's sort
got
of
to do is
bullshit.
sell him for 36 million, Rory.
Yeah,
and
that
you're
is
in
true.
trouble,
And-
mate.
yeah,
That's
Rory just said
not
profit.
how
Why,
that
why are you
works.
trying to cancel Rory,
I mean,
guys?
that's
What's
literally, to be
happening
fair, that
here?
is literally how it works. That is what profit is in the football world.
That's
Yeah,
not-
that
no,
is-
but
yeah.
I'm talking about the real world where you buy something for one value and sell it for another, and if it's more than
Yes,
that, it's
100%.
profit. If it's not,
Counts are
it's
pretty
not
real
profit.
to me.
67 million as Martinelli backup. I can see it coming now.
We're trying to cancel your channel, Rory. They're jealous.
My own club did it. If my own club did it, that'd be the
You
end.
imagine?
Jealous of you, Rory.
That'd be the end.
What
I'd
you'd have to
happily
do, Rory,
delete the
right
channel.
before
Oh
you
my
delete the
God!
channel, just have to
Imagine
put-
if
My own
Arsenal
club
come
did it.
in
I'd-
for like 60 million
I'd
pounds.
happily delete the channel. I would never talk about Arsenal again if we.
No,
did
you
that,
you would
problem.
you just have to leave Mudryk as your profile picture in just for a
No,
few
I'll
weeks.
take
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I'll go down a different career path if that happens.
Wow!
This
If
wouldn't be- this
Arsenal
wouldn't be
buy him
the
for
That would be amazing. Please
This
remember
wouldn't be
this
the
moment.
sport
if
for
it
me.
happens.
That'd be it. The sport would be done.
I actually, yeah, if Arsenal buy Mudryk for like to replace Martinelli for like 16 million euros, 60 million pounds. Okay, put a price on it, Rory. What is the price that Arsenal? What?
1 million over profit. I would love
No,
that.
no,
It'd be
no.
the funniest thing.
That's not. Okay, what is the realistic number you think if Arsenal buy Mudryk for? You're really pissed. I'm not gonna say cancel the channel, anything.
What that I'd be annoyed at
You'll be very annoyed if Arsenal
Any
spend that
more-
money.
any more than we sell Reece Nelson for.
So 25
No, I
million
don't-
pounds.
Whatever we end up selling Reece Nelson for. If we spend more than that on Mudryk, I would be fuming.
Here we
What's that,
go.
35 million?
Guys, here we go.
We haven't sold Reece Nelson, but when we do
Oh, okay,
eventually,
he's on
sell
loan.
him-
Don, stop this because he's quick. He doesn't have more to his game than Martinelli. That is bullshit. He doesn't.
Martinelli's doing it against Shakhtar, but he's doing it on a Tuesday night in the Champions League, and we win 1-0, and the goal is basically his. Mudryk is trying to do it in the UEFA Conference.
It's too early. Don, it's too early for you to say he has more to his
Trying
game.
is harsh, Rory. Trying is harsh. He's definitely doing it. He looked good.
He's definitely
But,
doing
yeah,
it. Martinelli is
but
one of
it
the
is
most
obviously
limited.
2 levels
Don,
above in European.
Can you not take over the chat, Don? Martinelli is one of the most limited players in the league. He's not limited.
Do
He
you,
cannot be
Rory?
20.
Do you believe Martinelli's good enough though? Like, I don't know if we're moving on to Arsenal or anything, but
We're moving
I
on to Arsenal.
genuinely-
And 100% we're moving on to Arsenal then.
Yeah,
Because
I
Martinelli is the
don't believe
star now
Martinelli-
because
That's a great
Saka's out.
segue.
No,
Great
I don't
segue.
Great
think
segue.
Martinelli's good enough. Not
I
anymore.
think he is. I still think he
Really,
is.
to
Yeah.
challenge for titles.
Well, we have challenged for titles with Martinelli, so yeah.
Yeah, but okay. All right, to win titles then. Let's not dress it up.
Yeah.
To win titles, is he good enough to have in your team?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I'm not sure. I feel like he's just
Well,
a
we
level
were- we
below
were-
what he was a couple of seasons ago.
We were 1 goal away in any particular game from winning the title last year.
By the
do
way,
I
that's
think the
not me
reason that
saying
we didn't-
Mudryk is good enough. By the way, I'm not that deluded. But like,
No, but I don't, yeah, I think Martinelli is.
Can
Is
I
he
address
the
this
most
one? Can I address
upgradable
this?
element?
Can I address
of your
this once and
starting
for
One
all?
of,
Don, I actually, he's the only thing that you can say he is he's quicker. Everything else, I disagree with you. And it's subjective.
Also, that
Can
like
debate
they
this
the same
another day.
age?
that
It is-
that whole.
Oh,
that
they're
whole-
actually the same age, 24, kind of same age bracket, 24 and 23, same age bracket. But Don, this is very subjective, which is why I can't debate it. He's quicker. It's not subjective, it's objective. But anyway, go ahead. Let's talk about Arsenal then. I think it's a disaster. We spoke behind the scenes before we go live. And guys, before we start, we've got about 550 people here, 540 people. We need to get the likes to 300, guys. Hit the like button. But also, all the guys' channels are in the description. Nobbins, Rory, Dan, Tom, and Joe. Not because they're not here, we're not going to put the channels. So the channels are in the description. Each and everyone from the Rational League crew are here. Go and subscribe to these guys. Great content daily for Dan, daily for Rory, of course. Nobbins put out amazing videos and watch-alongs for Manchester City, of course, and post-game analysis. They're fantastic. Tom puts out daily content. Go and subscribe to the guys. Get them a subscription and hit that like button. Really, I want this live, guys, challenge to get to 300 likes live. Really, hit that like button. Segue to Arsenal. Disaster. Crisis. Nothing less. If Martinelli, Calafiori, Timber, Saliba are out, Saka, Odegaard, that is actually
How
the
much
definition
of
of
that's
crisis.
confirmed? Sorry.
I think me and Rory spoke
So-
that before we come in.
Well, no.
It's
So
actually confirmed.
Arteta's just done his press conference. So he said on Timber, it's the first session that he could have had some involvement. He's been out for a while. We expected him to be closer from where he is at the moment, but again, we have to wait and see. To me, that's knowing Arteta speak. Timber probably isn't going to play, and the fact that he's not in the Dutch provisional squad for the international break, which is in like over 2 weeks' time, I don't think he's going to be good. And then on Saka, he said he's done some training. He's done a bit of training on grass. How far we can get him before Sunday is another question. We have another day, which is a good thing, but we will see. So
how are we
it's
going
not
to
looking
address?
good
How
for
are we going to address this? Are we going to address it based on Arsenal not having these players or having these players?
What would the front
Up to you.
three be?
what without
Me,
Saka?
Rory, and
And,
Havertz.
and without Martinelli potentially, did you say? So it would be.
No,
Havertz-
Who said
Martinelli's
without
back.
Martinelli?
so-
Martinelli's back.
Oh, sorry, I misheard then.
No,
So,
Martinelli's fine.
so only one out then. Only Saka out then.
Yeah, from
Right.
the front.
How
three,
long
yeah.
for is Saka out for?
Well, we don't know because this is the thing. We just get fed constant lies by our own bloody club. So originally it was, I mean, also, I think we must have told Lee Carsley to lie about it as well, because Lee Carsley came out and said that Saka was basically fine and could have played it in
Yeah.
the second international game. Then Arteta's like, yeah, he's looking good. He could have probably played in the second international game. And then he's missed Bournemouth and missed Shakhtar, and apparently he's only done one session on the grass. So it's a constant web of lies and deceit. So I don't know.
Sort it out then.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, Arteta in. He's protecting the club. He actually specifically said.
Actually,
in
Terry, Terry presented a very good argument when I was with the other time with HUSAM and Search Facts.
Yeah.
He did actually, and I never thought about it like this. He actually presented an argument saying, actually, the fact that Arteta doesn't give out information makes Liverpool think twice before putting lineups, tactics, makes more work for Liverpool. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
100%.
that's
why
very
he
good,
does it.
actually.
So he said, because someone leaked yesterday supposedly that Saka was expected to be fit, but Arteta said in reference to stopping the leaks, he said it's our job to protect it as much as possible. We have a lot of sensitive information. It is our obligation to protect the club. And there have been, like these days, there's just not a single good Arsenal in the know, because Arteta's been on an absolute vendetta to get rid of anyone that leaks information. So we don't find out much until the team sheet comes out.
Talk about the game then. Let's all talk about the game. Against Liverpool, they're flying. I wish I had Tom to speak about how good Liverpool, the best in Europe in terms of form, 11 out of 12 games in the beginning of the season. They're flying, very adaptable Liverpool team, similar to Arsenal, but they have most of their weapon. By the way, it is reported that even Jota will have a chance to play the game. He just bruised his ribs and he should be able to at least be in the team. That is bad news for Arsenal. Of course, so all Liverpool have options. I genuinely believe, and that's no agenda on anything, that if Arsenal don't have Saka, Calafiori has MCL. I had MCL. It's going to be not very long. Doesn't require surgery. It's first degree. Might be 4 weeks. It might be a month. It might be a month and a half. It depends on the severity of it. No Timber, no Saliba. I think your best chance is to sit deep and ask for a point. That is it. I don't think you have a chance.
Zinchenko again, isn't it?
Oh no.
No, it is.
Do you know
It
the
is.
lineup that they said that Nobbins? If you
And
hear the
Trent.
lineup that they said at the back, it's Kivior, Ben White, Gabriel, and Zinchenko. These are the only people available, and they are required to play in 90 minutes.
Hmm.
There is another option that Rory presented, but he only presented that with Timber fit.
Yes.
So
Ben White
Rory
centre back
presented
with that
this
day.
argument. Centre back is Rice on Twitter. If you guys not followed Rory Talks Football on Twitter,
Oh,
go
Rice
on.
centre back.
Rice centre. So that's what Rory presented with Timber, but now forget Timber. I think now we mean Kivior left, Kivior, Gabriel, Declan Rice, Ben White, Thomas Partey Moreno, Trossard, right? Either Jesus or Sterling on the right, Havertz and Martinelli on the left. I still think that is a very weak lineup.
That
Super
lineup
duper weak.
screams 0-0. Like, give me a draw right now.
I'll take no
Yeah.
at this.
Yeah, that'd be perfect for you, Nobbins, actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 4 points dropped. We love to see that.
It's that,
You know
or the only other options then is putting bloody Thomas Partey.
Millsap, the kid, what is his name? Lewis,
Miles Lewis-Skelly at left back's the other option. But again, that's someone making their
he's
Premier
going to
League
get
debut.
cooked if he plays against Salah.
Nah,
Yeah,
He's
that
going
would
to
be
destroy his
fair.
future.
He'll do better than Zinchenko.
Wow, mad.
He would.
I presume
Honestly,
you're not
though,
going to be
who
buying
isn't?
Zinchenko's book, Rory, are you?
Sorry?
I said, I presume you're not going to be purchasing Zinchenko's book.
No.
Zinchenko's got a book.
Yeah, he's released a book, yeah.
I don't like
Right.
Zinchenko.
If he spent more time practicing fucking 1v1 defending rather than writing a bloody book, maybe I'd consider starting.
That's what I was thinking. Like, worry about your career,
He's
son,
been
because you're not
writing a
exactly
bloody
playing a lot
book.
at the
It's
moment.
not even. It's not. Surely that's something
He-
you do once you've retired.
There's definitely
Why
some digs
Zinchenko
towards-
thinks he's a celebrity and a public figure? I don't
in
understand. this.
Ukraine, I think he is in Ukraine. I think he probably is. But there's a couple of digs towards Manchester City as well, Nobbins, apparently.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
gonna have to
okay,
purchase
so maybe
this
I-
novel
Ali,
immediately.
I read the news yesterday then. Sorry, guys. I read the news yesterday. Apparently, Slot said, I didn't watch the press conference. I don't know. So Jota's out. Okay.
I'd rather Jota played. Personally.
What? Then Nunes.
Yeah,
Because if
I
I'm
actually thought
looking
that
at-
for Chelsea.
If I'm looking at us without Saliba, whoever comes in at centre back, like Darwin Nunes, just as a very physical, fast striker,
Is a donkey.
a donkey,
it
yeah,
doesn't-
but he's a fun donkey.
but I actually think he'll cause more problems. I think he'll cause
not the
more
cinema,
problems
Nobbins.
for a makeshift
Here's for
centre back
me.
than Jota would have done.
Yeah. Okay, Rory. Hold on. This game, you would take a draw of this game and be, what, like 5 points behind City at this point?
That can be made up. That's easy mode.
Well, don't get me wrong. Before, like when the fixtures came out or whatever, I'd have always said we should be beating Liverpool at home if we're going for a title. But with the context of the players that we've got out, I just think like if you get out of that with a draw, especially when Liverpool are in the form that they are, like I think you've just got to take it and try and like being 4 points off City and 5 points off City and 4 points off Liverpool is going to be a very difficult mountain to climb.
Do you know what the problem is, Rory? Like, you don't even have the set pieces. Because actually, someone
aware.
did the math yesterday and said that Saka actually is the one that delivers the most, set pieces from the right side, and you don't have that.
No, I'm aware
So
of
does that give an excuse to Arteta?
we're so not really an excuse, but I mean, against
Come on,
Shakhtar,
injury.
we had Leandro Trossard bloody taking a weak foot corner to try and have an
Yeah.
in-swinging.
And
I mean,
it was
that's the sort of-
horrific.
Well, it could have been better, yeah.
No, Arsenal can
Sorry,
still
what were
definitely
you
do
saying?
something. I mean, like last season, for example, City went to Anfield, and I was looking at Liverpool's lineup as like, right, we've got to win this game now because there was no Alisson and there was no Trent, and Salah didn't start. And I think they had a fair few other injuries as well. And as we all know, Liverpool were the far better team that day, despite all the issues. So there's always a way. There's always a way to figure something out on the football pitch.
Sterling, Havertz, and Martinelli are not getting past this Liverpool team, with all due respect, Nobbins. They aren't. And with no Odegaard to create for them, Nobbins. So, here is me.
It's
There's
the
always
era
a guys.
of
There's always a.
Ranieri.
Okay. No, Rory, it's all right, Rory. It's all right. It's not. It's okay. My point about it is that when we analyze football, and I said that, where I try to be rational and I say, I don't know what is going to happen. I don't read the future. But what is the most likely outcome? This is how we analyze the coming games. The most likely outcome of this game is actually Liverpool win with this lineup. And I think that's a disaster. But, by the way, I'm looking at this. I don't know what I want personally from the game being a neutral. I really do want Arsenal to be freaking out of the title race by end of October, because that is horrific actually I actually believe it's horrific for the league. It's terrible for the league, to be honest, because Liverpool don't have the depth. And the difference between Liverpool and Arsenal and City is that if Van Dijk are out or Salah is out, I think Liverpool are done, right? Because they're not going to do the business. Arsenal need to do something. I don't know who I want to win as a neutral. I don't know, right? But the problem is I'm looking at a crisis. Newcastle away, Rory, another game. We were talking, for the people that don't know, we were talking before the game and saying, if Liverpool don't win against Liverpool, they're going to Newcastle, It's a personal vendetta from Newcastle against Arsenal for some whatever reason we don't know. Right? Newcastle aren't going to lose the game. Or they're going to try their best not to lose the game. They can be looking, Arsenal, at an 8 to 10 points gap between them and City in October. Can you catch up? No, you cannot. I don't think you can.
Yeah.
I'm
going to give Arteta the excuse. I don't believe that any team will be able to cope. And I don't want anyone from the chat or any rival fan, that is me talking, to tell me, no excuse, he spent 700 million. No one will be able to cope with that. Odegaard, Saka, Calafiori, Timber, and Saliba a red card. No one. No one. If Haaland, Foden, Kevin De Bruyne out, and Ederson out, City might be struggling. And don't tell me otherwise. And these are the most important. And Pep Guardiola is way higher in levels versus Arteta. I'm going to give him excuses. However, I'm not going to give the board excuses for not signing a world-class striker or a top forward.
I reckon Saliba shouldn't have got a red card. Silly.
I agree.
That's
Naughty.
Trossard. I looked at it again yesterday. Whatever brain fart Trossard had in this moment, what the F are you doing?
Well, this is
What kind of pass was that?
Yeah, well, this is the other thing. We're talking about like I mean, Trossard's probably going to have to start no matter what. So actually, if you start looking back at games, got himself sent off against City, got Saliba sent off against Bournemouth, missed a penalty against Shakhtar. Like, he's not on it. He shouldn't be starting games. He should be coming off the bench, but that's something we're going to have to deal with. To be honest, Saka's the big one. If we've got any hope of winning the game, Saka has to start.
Yeah.
The creativity that we lose with Odegaard is one thing. The creativity we lose with both of them gone. I mean, Saka's created more chance than anyone else in the Premier League in Europe this season so far. And that's including missing a game.
Well, he's not good enough. He's not good. He's the most valuable player in the league for a team, to be honest. Without him, Arsenal are finished.
What do you mean he's not good enough?
A lot of people say he's not good enough. He's
right.
not good,
Well, yeah, it is.
Sterling tends
Madueke's level.
I was just going to say, Sterling also tends to struggle against Liverpool based on his City performances. I think he's maybe had two or three good performances.
I actually think
Liverpool.
if you put just a period after Sterling tends to struggle and then you don't add against Liverpool, you'll be all right as well.
Calm down.
You're all right as well.
I like Sterling.
You have made a good argument. So no excuses. So looking at these three coming games, Rory, I don't know the extent of Saka's injury. I actually think if it's every time I mention 3 games, you're like stressed. Right.
I'm just generally stressed at the moment.
There was a similar period earlier in the season, to be fair. Like, you didn't have Rice for the North London derby. You won that. You know, you came to the Etihad, got a point there. There were some tricky fixtures. You beat Villa away.
But the defense was fine for those games. And we had
Reasonable.
Saka.
That's fairs.
We're down to like, we're actually down to, because of Tomiyasu being injured as well, like we are down to our 8th and 9th choice defenders. And they're going to be potentially starting. It is a piss take, really, isn't it?
Zinchenko masterclass loading.
I mean, even if you wanted to bring Zinchenko hasn't played in. I can't remember the last time Zinchenko played for us. So it's not even like we're getting even when Zinchenko's playing regularly, he still can't handle Salah. Let alone Zinchenko that's coming off a however many week absence.
A best-selling novel, as it turns out.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
Can I add something about Arsenal that I was asked the other day? If Arsenal win this game, not playing offensively, Arsenal are only looking at a result in this game. Not looking at the performance. Arsenal just should get a result this game. Performances come later in the season, right? So no matter dark arts, whatever they want to call them, they just should be looking for a result this game. Does that apply to the Chelsea and the Newcastle game? So if Arsenal scrape wins in the next 3 games, is it all right? It's okay. Performances don't matter now. I was asked this question and I didn't know how to answer it, to be honest.
Yes. Yes is the answer. What do I
because of the injuries.
I couldn't care less how we perform with the current group of players that we've got. If we get results out of that, I mean, I'd say based on Chelsea's current form anyway, going away to Stamford Bridge and getting a result either way, a win either way is a good result. Newcastle's just a horrible place to go, and that's even if you've got a fully fit squad, let alone missing half of them. So, yeah, 100%, 100%. Our start to the season is horrible. By the 11th game of the season, which I think is the Chelsea game, our 11th Premier League game of the season. By that point, we'll have done City away, Villa away, Spurs away, Chelsea away, Newcastle away. Those 5 within the first 11 games, plus Liverpool at home. Now, if we've done that and we're within touching distance of City and Liverpool still, then considering the injuries and stuff we've had as well, I'd be over the moon, to be honest.
What if you're not within a touching distance?
Well, then it's
Can I get everyone's predictions for the next 3 games for Arsenal? People in the chat, let me know how many points you think Arsenal will get in the next 3 games.
Remind me what they are.
Okay. They have Liverpool at home. They have Newcastle away, Chelsea away.
And we've got Inter away in the midweek between those 2.
I think they should throw away the game. Good for me. I genuinely speaking, by the way. I don't think it will matter for you in terms of qualification anyway.
I think
I said this. I said the same about the City game. I said our idiot coach gave away 2 games around it to play the strongest lineup against City. And who cares, bro, about 1 point in this 8 games? Anyway, that's for a different day, Rory.
Yeah.
We'll do a preview on your channel.
Nice. Let's do it.
Go ahead,
Someone
Nobins.
said 2 points. 2 points is a bit harsh.
I think 5. I think they draw
5. Oh
Yeah.
my God,
Draw against
Nobins is so oh my God, Nobins. It's 5.
Right. If they get 5 now, I demand a formal apology.
Bro,
based on
if
that
they get
reaction.
5, they will win the league.
Well, they don't want it to happen. I
If
think it'll be
Arsenal get
0-0
5 now,
0-0 against Liverpool. Stinky game. Stink fest. Ugh, disgusting viewing. They'll beat Newcastle. And Chelsea, that will be... Because Saliba will be back, won't he, obviously? I'm going to go a 2-2.
so they're going to win against Newcastle.
Yes.
That's not 5 then, that's 3. Oh, that's 5. They're going to win against Newcastle away.
Yeah.
I believe Arsenal are going to get 3 points in the next 3 games.
Draw all 3.
Max. It's either draw or 3 or win 1 only.
No, I think they get 6.
Am I the only one that thinks it's a
I think
crisis
they get
for
2
Arsenal?
wins. I think they get 2 wins in that.
Against who?
It is a crisis.
They definitely beat Newcastle.
Definitely.
And yeah, I think definitely.
Have you
yeah.
watched the last season's game with the?
Have you
push
watched
and-
Newcastle?
I have, which is why I think Newcastle will win.
They can't score. That they cannot score this season.
But
I think
that's why I
Arsenal-
think
I think
Newcastle will win
Arsenal
1-0. 1-0, 2-1.
Nah, I don't know. Defensively, Newcastle haven't been that great either because they've been conceding. I don't know if they beat Liverpool, but I mean, they've got every chance by the time the Chelsea fixture rolls around that they've got players returning from injury. So I'm not saying they're guaranteed to win at Stamford Bridge, but worse teams than them have won at Stamford Bridge. So I'm not sure. And could they beat Liverpool? Just, something just turns up out of the blue with everyone expecting them to not win, and they do. I'm just going to say 6 points. I don't know where they get it, but I definitely think they beat Newcastle, and I reckon they get it in one of the other 2 games.
I actually think they might get 0 points in the next 3 games or 1 point.
And that's too far the other way.
Guys, so logically speaking, they can only get 3 points. They might get only 3 points, 1 win. 1 win. They lose to Liverpool at home. They might lose to Chelsea. Are we not trusting Chelsea winning against Arsenal without Odegaard?
Oh, I think Arsenal are going to play very defensive, and that's not what Chelsea are after, really.
That's exactly what I think.
Odegaard could potentially be back by that point.
Could he?
Well, the Norwegian coach is talking about calling him up for the next international break, and you'd have thought they're not going to call him up for that without him playing any Premier League football.
Yeah.
So if he's back the week before the international break, that would do him for Newcastle and Chelsea.
1 point or 3 points, and I think Arsenal will be out of the title race.
Yep.
Has YouTube done something to the people in the chat?
What do you mean?
Huh?
I turned on slow mode, and I think YouTube is bugging.
I have no idea.
Anyway,
I'm always in
I think
slow
YouTube is bugging. Let me do the super chats about Arsenal. No Arsenal fan think Martinelli is good enough to win the league. Rory. Hence why they wanted Nico Williams. Same goes for Kai Havertz. Wrong. Here's an Arsenal fan right here.
Yeah. And I wanted
don't believe-
Nico Williams. But that's because once you don't have Martinelli, especially given at the time we didn't have Sterling, there's very little options there. So you're talking. There's also a question that you're talking about whether Martinelli is your starting winger or you bring in Nico Williams. He's probably starting, but then Martinelli is your backup winger on either side, which is again good enough to win a league. The season before last, he scored 15 goals in the Premier League. Like that for any left winger, 15 goals in a Premier League season is a good season and a
Who
good
is
enough
that?
season.
Trossard?
Martinelli.
Martinelli scored 15 goals last season.
No, the season before
No,
last. Last
season
season
before.
he was injured through it, but
He actually wasn't injured. He
23.
played 35 games in the league, so it's not that injured.
What, Martinelli?
Yes.
What, last season did he?
Yes.
I thought he played less than that. But either way, 15 goals the season before that. Last season he was worse than the 22-23 season, but now I think he's picking up again. So yeah. But again, I'm not saying that
I actually
Martinelli's
believe
enough to
people
win
are
the
very
league.
harsh on Martinelli. Do you know that?
I think they are as well, yeah.
People are very harsh, and I believe that people want to judge Martinelli early. They wanna label him as a flop for whatever reason, and I don't know why.
I mean, even if he was shit, we bought him for £7 million, so it's not really a flop.
Yeah,
He's
sorry,
definitely
I
not
wasn't
being.
flopped, they
He's
weren't
definitely
right.
not being sold for less than like 50 mil or 40 mil.
Yeah.
Don't tell me he's being
That'll
sold for
fund
less than.
Mudryk as well, so that's not
Good
really
point.
that bad.
Good point. Well
Here we
brought
go,
out.
Dan. Here we go, Dan, doing the business. Dan
No.
is doing the business.
It'll fund Nico Williams.
Oh yeah, YouTube went down for about a second or 2 seconds. Actually, big up everybody that's here, guys. Hit that like button. Yes, we're getting the viewers back. Went down. Lewis Kelly can handle. Doesn't mean it will Salah because it will be an unknown commodity. Rory's gonna answer this. He knows the player better.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is an unknown commodity because we've seen him a handful of times against far lesser opposition than Mohamed Salah. He's traditionally not even a left back. Like throughout the academy, he was an 8, then he was a 6, and then Arteta's decided that he's going to be the next inverted fullback that we have. So now he's moving to left back. So it's a very, very, very different task to start your first Premier League game. He only turned 18 last month. To start your first Premier League game against Mohamed Salah, that is a very different task. Could he do it? Maybe. I mean, it would be a hell of a performance from him if he could. I don't think Arteta will throw him in the deep end.
I would not do that to the kid. I wouldn't do that to the kid.
No.
Because if he makes the
Zinchenko
mistake,
drops another stinker, then
if he makes the mistake that leads to Liverpool win, I think that is too much pressure on the kids, to be honest. Liverpool have given scoring opportunities in all other previous games against mid-table teams, but they were not clinical enough to score more stop the crap. So Bermuda Gunner, so you're saying that Arsenal will win then without Saka, Odegaard, Saliba then? You know what? I want you put a statement out, right? So I want to know what's the end goal of that statement. So you think Arsenal win? I am sitting here and I say, I think Liverpool will win this game. Win the game, not draw. Win this game away at the Emirates. So I'm going to put a statement down and I say, Arsenal without the injuries are not dangerous. Their defense without Saliba is wide open. I believe Liverpool will win. People need to start doing that. I might be wrong. I don't read the future, but I think that is the most likely outcome of this game.
I do think it is
Go ahead. No,
No,
go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, I do think it is a fair point that Liverpool's defense isn't quite as good as their number of goals conceded suggests. Like, I do agree with the point that even in the game against Leipzig should have scored twice at least in that game, to be honest. So I do think, look, without Saka, it's going to be very difficult, but I still think there will be chances for Arsenal to score. It's just about then, does Kai Havertz turn up with his, clinically? Because we're going to need him to, because we're not going to create that many chances. It's tough.
It's very tough. I don't believe your forward line can play against Van Dijk, Konate at this current moment with Gravenberch in front of them. I see no one of your
Konate
midfield.
got sent off last time he came. So
we'll see. I don't think you will have. If Odegaard is there, yes, your midfield is so weak offensively. It's unbelievable.
Odegaard's not going to be there.
I know that. That's why I think your midfield is so weak offensively. Very weak offensively. And without Saka, unless Raheem the Dream comes to the help.
These XG merchants, bloody XG merchants. Leipzig only had 0.8 XG. Yeah, but they scored 2 goals that had a very high XG that were ruled out because they were very minorly offside. So sometimes you got to watch the game.
Liverpool had many injuries last season and went toe-to-toe. Injuries aside, Arsenal have weak mentality. This is why it feels like City are more scared of Liverpool than Arsenal. Nobbins begs to differ.
I'm sticking with my prediction. In the same way that last season, you and Mo, you and Tom tried to keep making me change my top 3, and I stuck with it. And lo and behold, for once I was right in terms of predicting things, and that's my top 3 happened. So I'm going to stick to my guns and still say Arsenal are finishing ahead of Liverpool this season.
If Arsenal get 1 point in the next 3 games or 3 points.
1? Come on, I'm going to get 1.
The fact that Rory's doing this, he thinks it's a possibility. Do you guys know how tough it is? Do you guys know that how Nobbins? It's a very tough game without their main guy.
It is, but Arsenal are still good. Like, come on.
Arsenal.
I think we'll win at least one of them.
Yeah, one's mental.
The second 2, we've got Saliba back. You'd hope that even if Timber isn't going to make this game, we'll have Timber back. So then you've got, then you can put out a back 4 of White at right back, Saliba, Gabriel, and Timber at left back. So once you got that solid back 4, you've got
another 3 DMs, another 3 DMs.
Well, potentially, but then if Saka's back as well, like going into
no. If Saka's back, I change everything. Rory.
No,
if Saka's back, I change everything. I just don't believe that Saka's going to be back before the next international break. If it's a hamstring injury, if it's a hamstring injury, as they said, I know that hamstring injuries are not as easy as they want them to be.
Well, maybe, but I mean, it just depends on if Arteta's lying or not. If he,
to be honest, if Saka's back, I change everything I say. But based on the current information that we have, I don't think you're gonna get like maybe 3 points is max for you.
We shall see.
People ruling out Arsenal too soon, in my opinion.
I agree.
I haven't yet, but after Chelsea, I'll let you know. After Chelsea, I'll let you know.
I do think.
No. Oh, go on, Roy.
Sorry. If you're looking at our games, like looking at our, not even the running, but like our final 20 games, we do have a much kinder final 20 games. And if we can reach that point with an actual squad back, like we could go on a big run in the same way that we did last season. So I'd never rule us out completely, even if we do drop quite a few points in the next 3 games. But yeah, it just wouldn't be ideal.
Right now, Rory, who would you trust, Lewis Kelly or Zinchenko?
What, against Mohamed Salah? Lewis Kelly.
And
but because Lewis Kelly is an unknown.
It's a very interesting.
Lewis Kelly is an unknown. Zinchenko is I know exactly what's going to happen, and it's not going to be pleasurable. So on that basis, I just gamble that Lewis Kelly might be able.
What about the Declan Rice thing in the middle, in the centre back, and then put Kivior left back?
Like Gabriel,
we could do that. Kivior actually came on at halftime against Liverpool at the Emirates last season, and then went on a run of like 8 games where he was actually good. There is an overreaction to Kivior because he had a couple of tough games against Bayern.
What about Thomas Partey right back and Ben White centre back?
Oh my God.
No, because I actually think Thomas Partey is important to our midfield at the moment. When we moved Thomas Partey to right back in the second half of the Shakhtar game, we lost kind of everything in midfield that we had. Like we lost.
So the right ship has sailed.
No, the right ship hasn't sailed. The right ship hasn't sailed, but Thomas Partey has been more controlling in those games. Like he's controlling. Like he's really growing into the season. So I feel like then throwing him but again, also Thomas Partey at right back against Luis Diaz. Again, he'll get.
Rory, I think you're taking this the wrong way, in my opinion, respectfully. I actually think you're going to defend them bulk, not individually. So it doesn't matter who plays where, the defense will be involved as a compact defenders, not like last season when we defended individually. So it won't matter if you put Partey here, Ben White there, as long as there is coverage, whoever is going to play on the right side coming back, you're not going to be expensive.
Maybe.
If you are expensive with this back line, bro, without Saliba.
I think we will. I think we
my
will
God.
be there. I think we will.
Oh my God.
I don't.
You
think
really
Arteta-
think you're
at
going to be
home,
expensive?
At home, I just don't think Arteta will go defensive. Like, we'll be a bit more defensive than if we're against the.
If Liverpool did it
Leicester,
against Chelsea, why not freaking damn Arteta do it against Liverpool?
I just don't think he will.
Do it, bro.
don't
I
think
think
he
it's your
will.
best chance to get it. Anybody else disagree? Dan was going to talk. So the Arsenal should be a little bit defensive in this game. No,
Maybe. Yeah, maybe there's a point for that. I'm not sure. I just feel like Liverpool can switch it up either way, though. I think that's their biggest compliment at the moment.
They've got to play defensive, haven't they?
yeah,
Arsenal,
they-
yeah.
it's
Well,
like, what?
playing defensive
Yeah.
doesn't mean, second half of the Etihad, where it's like,
yeah,
obviously they're entitled to do that and they were correct to do that. But defensive doesn't equate to everyone in your box and we won't have the ball for 90
We won't. Sorry, go on.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, I don't think we'll defend from the halfway line because we don't have the only thing that allows us to do that is Saliba's recovery pace, and we don't have that. So if we do that, if we try and defend on the halfway line like we normally would, and then we get caught out on the break, I genuinely think that's like a big mistake from Arteta because you can see it coming, and it's very clear that Saliba is the only player that allows us to play in that way. But that said, like the opposite way is I don't want to see us defending like we were in the second half against City, for example. Like I don't think it's that desperate.
You weren't gonna do that.
No.
You might do that if you go 1-0 up.
Yeah, it might, to be fair. Yeah.
I actually think you might do that if you go 1-0 up. He's gonna.
I'd happily do that. If we
Yeah,
go
I
1-0
remember
up and then
Spurs-
defend like that.
I remember Spurs chess last season. Chelsea the same. Corner FC.
Chelsea have much better individuals, I think.
And I don't think
Better.
Maresca is as naive as Ange Postecoglou, to be honest.
Wait,
Let me just put it out this way.
Spurs chest in regards to what?
Playing Arsenal when they lost 3-2 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last season.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think I think Dan actually would take a draw. I actually spoke to a lot of Chelsea fans. They say they think it's a draw between Arsenal and Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. I'm the only one who thinks that Chelsea will win, actually.
Oh, surely Don. I mean, the way Don's been going on in the chat, I assume he thinks it'll end 8-0.
Don, definitely. We'll do a preview you on Don before the Chelsea game.
Cole
We'll
Palmer
tell you they will win
hat-trick.
like 5-0.
We will be there.
Honestly.
5-0.
Palmer off.
Do you guys think this year top 5 make Champions League, considering all 6 out of 7 English teams are doing well in the European competition?
Who's that one that's letting the
100%.
side down, by the way? Can someone let me know?
Yeah,
The
bloody hell,
Bozos.
mate.
Yeah, crazy.
But yeah, 100%. I
Bozos.
think we will. There's a good chance that all 4 English teams in the Champions League are going to finish in the top 8, which would be insane. So yeah, I think.
Wait until you get beat against Inter and you get beat against Sporting Lisbon. Now you're not making top 8.
Lisbon.
Wait until we turn you over on your own turf,
Crazy.
and then beat Sporting Lisbon, and then beat Monaco, and then
Hammer
beat
'em
Dinamo
hype.
Zagreb.
Oh wait, I wouldn't disrespect Monaco. They're a good side.
Nah.
I don't know if they've lost.
No,
yet.
to be fair,
By the way,
they haven't.
if
Our
that is
next
the case,
three-
don't respect Monaco. They're not even making it to the second round.
Our
Oh,
next,
Monaco haven't lost a game yet this season.
No, they're
mate.
flat. Our next 3 Champions League games are all against teams that are above us in the Champions League currently. They're all against teams that haven't lost a game yet and are in the top 8. So,
Don't worry,
That's
Sporting will have lost by the time they play you. Don't worry about it. We'll sort that out.
no, cheers.
Okay, hold
So-
on. Sporting
so-
Lisbon don't play Arsenal, actually. Am I
They play
mistaken?
us.
Did I
They play us.
confuse Arsenal with...
No, we do. No, we do. We go away to Sporting Lisbon.
We play
Hold on, so
Sporting
Sporting
next, I know that
Lisbon,
much.
Man City go away to Sporting Lisbon, and Arsenal go away to Sporting Lisbon?
Yeah,
Not
But
at the
it's-
same time. That'd be unfair. But
yeah, that'd
Of
be
course.
brutal. But yeah,
You
like,
actually play
that's
Inter,
I think
Sporting
that's their
Lisbon,
next 2
Monaco.
games.
Yeah, Sporting Lisbon and Inter, actually. And then you're going to beat Monaco and
Yeah,
Dynamo.
Monaco,
and then you're gonna
Monaco
beat
are unbeaten
Girona.
so far. We should beat
Bro,
Girona.
you're going
and
to
beat them,
you're
man.
gonna
Nah,
slap.
City
The last 3
football
games are
group
wins for
has
you.
got something for me.
you're gonna get the last 9
We'll
points.
loan them
Girona
back
away.
Savio for a game.
I reckon we'll draw it. I reckon we'll do a preview, but I reckon we'll draw 0-0 at Inter as well. We'll do the same as we did against Atalanta.
Boring Arsenal.
Yeah, just turn up and take a
No,
9-0.
we don't allow teams to do that because once the team sit back against us, we sit back as well. They'll be
So be a 0-0.
just sit back as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Inzaghi is that guy. Yeah, listen, people, this has been an absolutely amazing show. You guys are absolutely let me down. We're not even on 300 likes. We still have over 500 people here. We're not on 300 likes. It's 50 likes away from 300. Hit that like button before you go. Thank you for everyone that got involved in the conversation. Super chatters, you're absolutely fantastic. Every viewer is here is fantastic and amazing. New members are amazing. Thank you so much. Rory's live at 6:30 today. Might not cry there. He's not going to cry there on the stream. He's not going to cry on the stream. You're not going to.
No tears.
No tears. Dan, you're going live?
Not today. But over the
You're on
weekend,
Saeed's show?
No, not today.
Oh, shit. Biryani. And then Nobbins, why you got coming up?
I'm going to go pick up my cat from the vet. That's going to be fun.
And live coming up tomorrow. Watch along.
No, I'll be going to the game. It's at the Etihad.
Oh.
But there will be a post-mortem, so there will be an analysis, hopefully, of a good game with a Nunes midfield masterclass.
Wait,
hopefully.
a post-mortem indicating that you're going to fail to beat Southampton?
You're going to die.
This is what I didn't
No,
understand. Like, he named that show post-mortem. I'm like, but you win all your games.
My analysis shows I label my post-mortems because we cut through the liver or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
All
It's
right,
like it's cold analysis. You get it. That's the vibe. That's the brand.
Anyway, we'll see you guys soon. This will take us, of course, to the Football Terrace where Dan Lawless, Don, and staff, you will be there. Footy Judge Moraid. We'll see you guys soon. Let me just make sure I redirected. I actually think I did. And we're out over here, people.